I sent over the pro forma to you.
Yeah.
Give that a look over this weekend, but it'll put some things into perspective for you.
Okay.
I imagine you won't need too much help with it, but it's a lot of data.
Yeah. All right. I'll go through it.
Did you get a chance to go through the PNS?
I think I did when you sent it to me. I haven't looked at it since.
All right, it's straightforward. It's basically 2 years.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
money up front, no contingency based on what we do. Um, my guess is that if they don't get something worked out with the TIF and don't get something worked out with the trust, they're just going to go through with the what I think is 123 units now.
Okay.
They would go through with the 10%, so 12 or 13 would be affordable. So we would kick it up to about 30.
With our investment.
Yep, our investment would be looking, right around 20 units.
Who are they going to be talking to on the TIF?
They Evan wants us to put it forward.
Okay.
So we got Carl Moyson and Ray Mead that are on the TIF committee.
Okay.
In general, we'll need buy-in from the select board. They're the ones that are going to have to hold a special town meeting. So that'd be my point of attack. Would be, oh, I gotta start this.
Can I ask what you meant by
Recording in progress.
There we go. What's that?
You said pro forma. Could you tell me what that meant?
Yeah, we'll put it in our data. It's basically a pro forma is their business perspective. How much money's going in, how much money's going out. This one has an incredible amount of detail. So it breaks it down by individual units and things of that nature. So they're asking for 40% over 15 years. I didn't quite clarify what that 40% a year for 15 years, or 40% of total over the 15 years. I'll ask that again. I got to meet with them on Monday. Evan.
Hey, Bruce. Eric needs a link.
Oh. All right. I assume that's him that just texted me. All right, tell him that. Or I'll tell him. We'll see if that works. So total cost of the land is it's going to be close to 700 for them all in. 650 of course to the town. Then some of their legal fees and stuff like that. So I was using that as a basis for kind of my rubric to put in what the value was for the property. So there's a sale value with a permit in place plus permit fees that are associated with it. I'm looking at right around 1.6. They're carrying a lot more in soft costs, but I don't think they can roll them into what would be tradable if another person were to come on board and just buy the land with the permit in place. It's hard because another developer coming in would probably have a different concept and design and wouldn't take over the whole thing. So, but if I can, I'm comfortable at a point where if it's $900K for the grant and we're at 50% loan to value or close to it, I'm pretty comfortable with that for the exercise that we're going through. Most of the soft costs we would be able to take over: engineering, survey work, wetlands delineations, stuff like that. That's all reusable for everybody else, and that has a pretty substantial value. But we're kind of inventing our own kind of metric here, because
Right.
there's nothing in the state guidelines to go by. We're kind of just, it's not the first of its kind, but it is certainly a interesting partnership. Most of the grants won't be collateralized that you see, and they're usually much smaller than this one.
Does it make sense to reach out to either Jen Goldson or Mass Housing Partnership to like get a sense of how these things typically run?
So I've run most of this by Kathleen. Jen Goldson is on the, she's more on the outreach side.
Okay.
She does not. The last I spoke with her, and this was several months ago now, because we haven't quite gotten to that point yet. But most of the conversation was about 25 Worcester Street and not here.
Okay.
But her and Kathleen both run the same paths as far as what trusts are doing and how trusts are represented. So
Yeah.
grant programs, it's pretty standard. We can design it. I had Matt meet with our Minister of Finance here. I forget her name, but to work out, what comes out of what bucket and how we need to monitor and control it. So basically, it'll be a monthly invoice type of thing, and we'll just vote on it at a trust meeting, and then we'll vote on a certain amount of allowable grant money that's out there for it to fund it, and then we have to kind of put that in its own thing, so its own bucket, and then as it gets tapped, we review it, and then we'll give parameters for what it can be used on, and so it'll be a reimbursement type of thing. So they'll go out,
Okay.
they'll spend $40,000 on survey work and wetlands delineations. They'll bill that back to us until it's gone, and then they use their own funds. Or we could approach them and say, we want to go 50-50. For every dollar we spend, we want you to spend $1 as well.
Yeah. Okay.
The number itself we have enough to cover the number itself anyways. So we can use a cross between CPA funds and Pulte. The Pulte, of course, is unrestricted, so we'll use Kathleen to kind of navigate the CPA waters to make sure we're taking out of the most restricted funds first, which is the reserve funds that have come to us every year.
Okay.
Let's see. All right, I emailed it to him, but he's not here yet, so. I can give him another minute or so. I mean, it's fairly straightforward. The TIF is a little bit more complicated because that's, of course, not us. We're going to have to go present that to the select board, but they, in my last talk with Evan, a special town meeting would probably be the way to go, and then January, because if they wait all the way until the spring, they've gobbled up almost 8 months of PNS time, and they have 2 years on the PNS. So they have a year and then another extension year, both requiring a deposit. It is certainly something that will have a significant impact on the town as far as money is concerned. So
Right.
the full value of the property would come in 2 years or less if they get permitting and they start moving forward on it, like building wise. That will have to, of course, be secured. And then there's the permitting fees, which are fairly lucrative for a project like this for the town. Well, we spent like 2 years with UPS permit fees in the hundreds
Right.
of thousands of dollars in the budget. Of course, that didn't materialize. I'm guessing that this TA will take it a little bit more cautiously. But there's probably a windfall to the town of about $1 million.
Okay.
Most of it one time. And then operationally speaking, if it's, they didn't get me a full number. Hey, Eric.
Oops, sorry. Hello.
So Eric, just for a brief catch up, we were talking about,
I've been on for like the last 7 minutes, Bruce.
oh, brilliant. Okay. So I did send you the updated pro forma with the 123 unit count. Which you can go through. Is a very elaborate. The number I kind of settled on was right around $900K for the grant to be written up. We can put the procedures in place on the municipal side. That's fairly easy. Matt's the treasurer, and he kind of worked it out, and he probably caught that bit of it. The TIF, what I was hoping for was if we could get the TIF committee together next month, or at least over the next 4 weeks, and get something ready to go before the select board, and then to host a special town meeting late January, early February. I don't know what else they would want to put on the warrant. Of course, that's their business. Or if it would just be for this. And the reason to not have it on the spring is, we can beat the Springtown meeting by about 4 months. And see if we can get this in place. They're asking for 40% over 15 years. I followed up a call with them when they provided me with this, and they only got this to me a couple hours ago. Of what that 40% actually meant, if they were looking for 40% a year or 40% total operational costs over those 15 years. Because it was a little bit confusing. Because one's a huge number and the other one's just a significant number.
40% of what their taxes would be?
Yes. Yep. So they'd be looking for basically a TIF for 15 years with a certain amount of money reduction in their tax burden. And what was described to me with the reason for it would be to offset the 20 some odd units that would be affordable, and to provide them some help with the vacancy. That first 3 or 4 years where they're trying to get the thing fully built out. So.
Well, if we're going to be presenting that, I want to see the math on their justification. I just don't want to go in and be responsible for answering questions about how they figured 40% if it's not our idea.
Yep.
Figure out what your tax bill is, and then tell me how much you think you're going to be taking it in the rear for 20 affordable units. Like, if it's a reduction of 20% of a purchase price on 20 units, then if that's what you're telling me, then, I want to see what that number is, and I want to know what your anticipated taxes is. Usually the way it works is it's like 0 the first year, 0 the second year, 5% the third year, 10% the fourth year, 25% the fifth year, and then, you work your way up. That's not that hard of a sell, but it should be based on some reality.
Yep. There's a significant amount of commercial space that's being absorbed and put into residential space too. So it's a lot less mixed than it was before. But traditionally, the town has only done TIFs for commercial property and not residential property. Now this is a large apartment, so I guess it's a commercial enterprise, but that might be a hurdle we have to navigate. So when I thought, my original look at this was, okay, our impact is, let's call it, 15% of 123 units. So, 20-ish. We would offset the operational costs of those. And I'm not sure if that's the 40% number they were talking about. But if they're talking about just 40% every single year for 15 years, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, that's a lot.
But I just got this, so if you guys can pour through it and give me some perspective. Go ahead, Eric. You just.
No,
the camera went to you, so I thought you spoke. No worries.
I'm just looking at it. I mean, have you had a chance to review this whole thing?
No, I just, like I said, just got it about an hour, maybe 2 hours ago now. So, yeah. And I had some comments about the 40% and what that actually meant. So, but that's just my perspective. So, walking through it, if we set the parameters up here and what we think we can look for, and we can only convey that stuff to the TIF committee. They're going to have their own kind of setup. So, and how they analyze this. From my perspective, if we're subsidizing affordable units, we subsidize affordable units. They're coming in without the expectation of getting a TIF anyways on 123 units with 10% of them being affordable, because that fits the zoning that's there. If the town wants to give them a TIF for something else aside from that, that's up to them, to encourage the actual growth of the spot, which would be in their best interest, because to make this more attractive for them would be better to get it built. But from our perspective, we're just looking to protect those 20 some odd affordable units.
Right.
So if that means taking all 30 under our program, so to speak, and then conveying that to the TIF committee, that, well, yeah, we want to protect these 30, so we want to write off their taxes for the rent they're going to lose on those 30 spots for however long.
I guess, yeah, I'm thinking about how unusual it is for a residential developer to ask for a TIF, because they're gonna be collecting rent from people that are living in the units, right?
Yep.
And portion of that rent is going to be whatever taxes are going to be on the property. So I don't know. It just sort of seems like a windfall. They're going to collect rent on one end for more than, obviously, it's 183 units.
Yeah, that's a good question.
So
to
100,
ask.
160 of them are market rate. So I don't know that the renters are going to be paying that much less in rent. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Weird to me.
I'm glad you brought that up, because we would have to, have some type of control over making sure and preventing they don't double dip.
Right.
So if they're collecting taxes and then the tax bill is lower, I am assuming they're going to pay taxes on a net basis. So when the tax bill comes in, it goes to them as a separate chunk. But that's, traditionally I'm more, I look more at commercial property. So the tax bill comes in, that just ends up as an adder on my next year's tax bill.
Right.
All right, I will look into that as well. Eric, feel free to just email me if you have directly, anyways. If you have something else that you want me to ask them. But this would be good to have.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look at the pro forma. I have not had the chance to look at it today. So I'm just thinking through. You said you want to do a special town meeting in January, like this January 22.
Yep.
And it would be for the sole purpose of deeding, executing the PNS.
No, just the TIF. The PNS is on the select board meeting on Tuesday. That's why I kind of wanted to have this discussion, just so we could talk about it on Tuesday before they sign, because I know they're going to talk about it.
That does the transfer of the land have to go to town meeting though?
Nope, that's already done. So it's already been approved to go to RFP, and then we fixed the RFP last time. So now the PNS is took about 3 months to get a signed copy of it, which we just got a couple weeks ago, and I sent it to everybody. The PNS gets signed by the select board after everything's been negotiated, and then away it goes.
So what's the harm in waiting till Springtown meeting for this?
It's in May, so you lose about 4 months. My biggest concern is initiative. In momentum.
Yeah, I know. I'm just worried about the optics of calling and paying for a special town meeting. That's going to cost, these things usually cost $1,500 anyway. To get to a place where we're asking town meeting to approve less money for them than they're entitled to.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Ed there. I'm not optimistic about small town meetings. It's always easier to get
especially for affordable housing. That's right. We're going to get just the Ron Warwicks of the world coming in and what the hell is this?
It just so happens that Ron's very interested in this, and he is our sole participant in the audience today too. Very concerned citizen.
How are you, Ed?
Fantastic.
What I would disagree with there is you got 2 years on the PNS, which is a fairly long PNS to begin with. Now you're going to sign a PNS next Tuesday and tell them you can't make a substantive decision on your construction until May. So if that's the case, then doesn't the whole project just get pushed till May? like for our perspective, for us, we want them to build the 25%. If they're going to say the P&S gets signed on Tuesday, and when we got to give you an additional 6 months for you to tell us to get something that you guys want, we won't do without a TIF, but we want it. Wouldn't it behoove us to get it done as quickly as possible?
Yeah.
What I don't want, I guess, to elaborate on that is for us to say, well, we really want you to have 25%, but we want you to wait another almost 6.5 months before we even think we're going to get it on there to get us our 25 units. And they're going to say, well, no, we have 123, and we just go to the planning board, and we can start this project 6 months earlier. I don't know. I think the onus is on us to try to get what we want out of it. And what we want out of it is 30 units and all of them going on the SHI, which is a huge selling point. And I don't really feel this is going to be a problem at special town meeting. And also, if you fail at special town meeting under one TIF concept, you can go back 3 months or 4 months later to the spring town meeting and put it right back on with an altercation, an alternate view.
Yeah, that's a good point.
The other thing is to wait all the way until spring, and then if it fails, all the way until next October.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Okay. What do you think about this? So why does Evan want us to present it?
Well, I think because it's kind of what we want.
Well, we want the units. I don't care about the TIF. That's GSX wants a TIF.
Well, yeah, I understand that.
Why do we have to defend the TIF?
Because it's part of our incentive for GSX to give us the units. We only have $1 million to cover on soft costs. If we want to say we want to give you more on the soft costs, if there's no TIF involved, and we could do that. I mean, I'd rather have some town participation. They get a big chunk of this too because they get a whole bunch of SHI benefit. We're just looking at 30 units. I don't care about
Hey,
SHI.
maybe CPC will throw in.
Well, they could. We certainly should present it to them. I understand. I mean, it's part of it. I mean, if you want, I can go back and say, hey, look, if there's no TIF, is there a hard number that still makes this project work?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. So I don't mind riding shotgun with GSX before the town or the select board to say, look, if what we're looking for here are 30 affordable units and have all these count toward, affordable housing and to really go a long way towards solving our SHI problem, that's what's in it for the town if we're willing to be creative and flexible with the TIF. But I think GSX ought to be there to be like, number one, yes, that's true. And number two, here's our rationale for the number.
Well, that's what we're putting together. That's why I want to get some, these other questions for them. I just want to have some semblance of an idea of a path forward. And to be honest, Ed, if we're not spearheading it, it's just not going to get done.
No, I know. I feel like the onus ought to be on GSX to really be able to articulate what they're looking for, why they're looking for it, and what the town gets out of it. And for us to be there as well to say, yeah, we're supportive of this idea because we've only got, $1.6 million for the rest of our lives. We'll get our $40,000 a year from CPC, I hope. But this is what is going to be the result of Pulte, is to get these units created and to get them on our SHI.
Yeah.
And this is the vehicle that we have to do it. There is no other real shot for us here.
So I've got an outline of questions to ask them, so I think we'll hone in on some of the talking points we just had. So at least I can get some more clarity, and then I'll meet with them again on Monday, and see if I can get something a little bit more back to this subgroup, and just to digest anyways. I just think the TIF is going to be a talking point on Tuesday when the P&S comes up, so I wanted to have something of an idea of what our thoughts were on it. Back to that discussion for the P&S. So the grant program, which I know is going to be asked about on Tuesday, Is 900 a number that you guys are comfortable with?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. There will be no payback on it. We'll have a our only real clawback is we'll get first position on the land should
Yep.
they fold up and go away. The land actual acquisition is something that I would say we don't want to fund. That should be on them. We should be purely on the soft costs.
Agreed.
Yep.
All right, I will put together just the actual grant language, and then I assume we're going to use the most restrictive funds first, which is the CPA stuff. And what will happen is we'll take from that account what we can fund from that account, or what we anticipate being able to fund from that account, and I'll use the pro forma to do so, and then put that over with whatever combination of Pulte funds into a separate account here at the town, and that's what we'll distribute the grant from. Because once we commit to the grant, we can't and shouldn't have the ability to spend it on anything else. So with this being a 2, 3, 4 year project, not all original members who signed on to this may be present, when it's completed or the last dollars get spent out of the grant money. So we'll set it on its side. We'll put a policy in place and a kind of like a standard operating procedure. So how the trust deals with it, and so it will outlive the rest of us. Should we not be on? It still leaves us with a fair amount of money to do other projects with as well. So,
Bruce, can you just summarize the mechanics of the grant? Like, it's not in the PNS, or we're attaching it to it.
it's
Sorry,
not. The PNS is not contingent on the activities of the trust. So what they will do if they have a grant in place with us is they'll go with the 25% affordable. So there's still some discussion there. I don't know if you caught this part of the conversation, but I would like to go like dollar for dollar. So if their engineering bill is $47,000, we pay 23.5 of it, and then they pay the other 23.5 of it.
Yeah.
And then we just draw off that grant until it's consumed.
And how do we get the, like, contractually, where is it, like, what mechanism is going to be used to say, hey, it's 25% affordable?
Well, we'll draft language similar to any other closing docs, and then we'll enter in the trust itself will enter into an agreement with GSX.
Got it. Independent of the PNS.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And they will provide us with first position on the property. So the legalese behind it, we're going to have counsel that handles this type of thing drafted for us. And then hopefully we'll have administrative assistance, so we won't have to wait each month to pay bills. We'll be able to set a certain amount every month that can be paid down.
Yep.
And then the treasurer and the admin assistant can actually get the checks cut. The town has about a 2-week turnaround on stuff that, as long as it's submitted. So that's pretty good for, if they're dealing with a lot of third-party stuff like surveys and engineers and security consultants. In the soft costs is their permits and contingencies. So when we're thinking about the TIF and contributions and stuff like that, the one caveat I had to this is when we get big permit fees, like we talked about with UPS years ago, they come in as a windfall to the town. For this particular property, the town could, make a substantive amount of money on the permits, in addition to the $650 for the land acquisition. What I don't want to be is in a position where I'm giving trust money back to the town for general funds.
Right.
I don't know if there's a way to avoid it, because they are indeed soft costs and we are paying for them. So the one way in the back of my head I'm getting around it is, they're carrying almost $5 million in soft costs. So, our 900K is not, we can find a way to pay for more of the soft costs without paying money directly to the town from the trust's reserves. But I don't know if it's bothersome to you guys, and I don't know if it will be bothersome to the trust. It's just in the back of my mind. I'm always hesitant about, funneling money from trust money back directly to the town coffers.
Well, it's for the purposes of the project, and we can always just reimburse GSX if we want to do it that way.
Yep, suppose so. I just, the town makes a lot of money on permit, and I'm going to see it in their budget when they present. Oh, we're getting so much money in from GSX on the Upton project, and I don't know, doesn't sit with me. But I don't mind, in the grand scheme of things, as long as we're fulfilling our mission. So,
Right.
I think that the town should be, stepping over itself to try to get this project off the ground, because it's in its direct benefit. So I don't see that type of, I don't see the incentive coming from the town yet. Maybe I will. But again, that's kind of why, Eric, I think we should, if we're not doing it, nobody else is going to do it. This project would just fall flat like any others. They'll go forward with what they want to do, and we'll have squandered a good opportunity for the town. So.
Right.
You're talking about the TIF.
I'm talking about the TIF, and just there's a general cohesion that needs to happen between all the parties.
Doesn't the TA's office usually push the TIFs and speak to it in the past?
I think there'll be a collaborative between us, and yes, that is true. Typically, it's generated from the TA's office and through the TIF committee to the select board.
Yeah.
This is a particular scenario where the trust is investing heavily into it, so I think Evan thinks that we'll have a lot of the information more readily accessible to us than him, and that's why he wants us to be part of it.
Yeah. And just while we've been talking, I looked at the pro forma a little bit more. The taxes tab, they do want 40% every year for 15 years.
Wow, all right.
So, I don't know what kind of precedence we've had with TIFs for residential in the past, but
we don't.
If that's hyper aggressive, even if this was commercial, like what's a standard commercial TIF? I'm just trying to think. We haven't done like a ton. What was the UPS one?
So UPS had them at 0.0 for the first 2 years, and then there was a percentage claw between years 3 and what was it? Around 12 and 13, they started paying the full weight, but it was just a gradual climb from like 5%, 10% to 25 to 35 to 50 during those middle years.
Yeah.
And that was fairly generous.
Yeah.
So I would, if we're interested in doing something with residential, I'd ask Evan if he's ever seen it before, and maybe I'll reach out to somebody at MHP and see if they've ever seen it before, and what it typically looks like. But yeah, less than half for 15 years. I don't know.
Well, I'm guessing they're going to put forward what they want to see, not necessarily.
Right.
From my perspective, they're already going forward with this at 10% affordable and 100 and something units. If it made sense.
So this has to go through the TIF negotiation committee, is like everything else, right?
It does. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, they're going to have their own questions. They're going to see that, and we're not going to present just what GSX gives to us. This is just what we got today.
Right.
So. We really want to offset or have some middle ground between us and them to offset the affordability, which I don't mind doing that. Any which way you look at it from the town's perspective, there was one bidder on the RFP. This was it. So the town's going to see almost $1.2 million in free cash money from the land sale and the permitting fees and things associated with that, and then they'll have the implications here. So,
yeah. And it looks like they're the abatement percentage. They have that listed at 40, so it would be a 60% payment to the town, or at least that's how I interpret that on their pro forma.
All right.
I don't know, whatever.
Well,
Okay.
We just got this, so yeah, Eric, if you can just give that to me in an email.
Yeah.
So I'm not losing track of it as well.
All right, I gotta back to work.
All right. Tuesday night is when we talk about the PNS. So I will keep going on that. Eric, have you gone through anything more? Do you have anything more for the grant program that you want to see in it, or any functionally how we do it? Because this is going to be pretty brand new. So
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I have to say at this point, because it's mostly gonna have to get handled from a legal perspective. I just want maximum protection that we can get, and I do like your idea, Bruce, where it's a dollar matching versus us just fronting costs, because that shows, hey, they're actually paying this. You know, they have the cash
Right.
to do it, and we're just reducing their expenses by half over until the 900K is exhausted.
all right. Do we want?
I wouldn't like it if we were just like, hey, it's like exhaust it, then they start paying. I don't like that.
Right.
Yeah, I'm the same boat. General proof of funds. Now they're gonna pull an investment. This is different stages. Cost of money and things like that will prevent them from getting the whole thing in one swallow unless they go to HUD. But we can have provisions in there that say, as soon as you get to your benchmark funding, we'll open up a little bit more of this grant. So if funding falls down for them, we don't give them the full 900 if they're not going to be able to get the money.
Yeah.
I mean, we might not be able to work that in there because we're really not paying more than about 25% of what their projected soft costs are. And I will get a firmer breakdown of the soft costs as well. So that it's got to be more than, I know they have an OPEX detail. I haven't gone through it, and a cost detail. But they have 150 for legal, 487,000 for financing, which is maybe coupons or things of that nature. We're not going to pay for that.
Yeah.
So, and 700K for pre-development. You got to figure out what that 700K is. So, because that's the stuff that and design is probably what will anchor most of our grant money into. That's 2.1 million. So. I will get a further breakdown of that. All right. Are either of you going to be there on Tuesday night, or is it just going to be me?
No, I'll be there.
All right.
Assuming I don't have COVID, I will be there.
Okay. That's hybrid too, so you can log in. I haven't.
Okay.
I asked them to give me a specific time. I haven't heard back from Peter or Evan yet, so I assume I'll get that. Because GSX wants to be there as well.
Okay.
All right. Anything else? Just send it to me. Subcommittee meetings. I'm being a good boy and making sure that they're posted and recorded and all this OML stuff. But so email just directly to me. And then I won't have any any quorum issues or things of that nature. So.
Well, we are in a quorum as 3.
We are. Yeah. Yeah, the rules on this aren't as well established outside the fact that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing for a subcommittee to meet. But it's like when we email each other, whether it's a quorum of the subcommittee or a quorum of the trust, that's a different scenario altogether. So
Got it. Okay.
for right now, until I can get a better understanding of it, email
Sure.
directly to me.
Yep.
All right. Anything else that comes up, let me know. I'm going to get back to work myself. I hope you don't have COVID, Eric. And we'll see everybody on Tuesday, hopefully. Thank you, guys.